Personal injury is in the top 5% of most competitive verticals of all the different industries that our agency works with. Let's dive in to get an understanding of why SEO is so competitive for personal injury lawyers and how you can outpace your competitors on Google. Let's dive into why personal injury law is so competitive from an SEO standpoint. KD stands for keyword difficulty, and I have a chart pulled up on my screen here. So the keyword difficulty for all of these personal injury law related keywords in Houston, Texas is above a 70, 74, 75, 76. This is extremely high from a competitiveness standpoint. Now, if you owned a nail salon in Houston, another local business, same market, the keyword difficulty is going to be below a 10. And I'll get into the reasoning here in a second. But like I said, PI is extremely competitive. You go over to the cost per click, personal injury lawyer Houston, $116.72. Personal injury accident lawyer Houston, $126 per click. I mean, these are crazy numbers that attorneys are willing to pay. And going back to the nail salon example, a cost per click is between 80 cents to $1.20 for a nail salon in Houston. So why the discrepancy? According to Martindale Nolo, the average case settlement for a PI attorney is north of $50,000. It's right at the $52,000 range. So the reason PI attorneys are willing to spend so much per click and the reason that it's so competitive from an SEO standpoint is because these cases are worth a lot of money. So ranking high has a ton of value. Whereas for the nail salon, maybe a service is $50 to $100, much less than $50,000. So the reason that PI is so competitive, point blank, is because if you rank on that first page, it can have an extremely high ROI. I'm now going to help you understand what it takes to rank well on Google for your PI firm and why other competitors are likely outranking you. So I just did a Google search for Columbus personal injury lawyer. And when you're seeing the reviews, that is called the local pack. That is tied to your Google business profile. If you can rank here, it's extremely prominent placement. So PI attorneys crave that positioning. And then below here is just all of the organic listings. So obviously it's so profitable because if Elk and Elk were to get a click here, rather than paying $80, $90, $100 per click, since it's earned placement, you don't have to pay for that click, making it more profitable. But why is Elk and Elk ranking number one? And what about that PI attorney on the third or fourth page? I'm going to explain to you domain authority, or authority score is another way of calling it. And this is going to help you really understand why some competitors are outranking others. I alluded to the fact that Elk and Elk is ranking number one as of the time of this recording for Columbus personal injury lawyer. And for that same query, the Jamie Oliver law firm is on the fourth page of Google. Well, I mentioned the metric authority score. You will see that Elk and Elk has an authority score of 34 and Jamie Oliver has an authority score of 22. There is a direct correlation between your authority score and how well you're ranking. So what authority score is, and by the way, right now I'm in SEMrush. That's the platform we use for our keyword tracking, for our research. I highly recommend it. But authority score is the term that SEMrush has given to the overall power of your website. And really, this is based on how many links are going back to your site. So for Elk and Elk, they have been around for over 50 years. They have a presence throughout the entire state of Ohio. They are a sponsor of the Columbus Blue Jackets, the NHL team. They have done an NIL deal with the Ohio State women's basketball team. And there are links from the Blue Jackets website pointing back to Elk and Elk, from news articles picked up this NIL deal that are linking back. So when external articles are linking back to your site, this is helping improve your authority. And the higher authority score that you have, the easier it is to rank. Obviously, you have to optimize the content on your website properly, and I will get into that. But if Elk and Elk and Jamie Oliver write similar content, there is a 95% chance Google is going to rank Elk and Elk above Jamie Oliver because of the higher authority score. So many personal injury attorneys come to me and they say, Jason, how long is it going to be before I can rank on the first page? The first thing I do is I check out that authority score. And if they just launched a new website, it's an uphill battle. And I'm very upfront with them that this could take a while based off of the competitiveness. But it's really important to understand authority score. Personal injury law is a very localized business from an SEO standpoint. And I want to explain a couple of things that's going to help you understand overall SEO strategy. First off, when it comes to an attorney, most people search at the city level. They are searching for a Columbus personal injury lawyer, and they're not searching at suburbs most of the time. They're not searching Gahanna or Dublin or Hilliard. And the reason for that is when it comes to a good attorney, somebody is willing to travel maybe 20 or 30 minutes across the city. And also for a PI attorney, you're not having to go there every week. Maybe you go for a consultation and a follow-up meeting, but it's not like a laundromat or a pizza shop where you're going to be dropping off your clothes every week. And Google knows that. So the intent is really to target your primary city in most instances. So in theory, this sounds pretty simple. You're a PI attorney in Columbus, Ohio, and you should target Columbus, right? But the more markets you're in, there is more revenue opportunity. So there are attorneys that have multiple offices throughout the state, or maybe even the way that the city is situated, like in a Phoenix, where they have a location in Phoenix and Scottsdale and in Tempe. So there are a lot of attorneys that take this route. You know, there are also attorneys who really don't have a physical location, but create what's called a satellite office, which really isn't a best practice, but that's a whole nother video. The point that I'm trying to make here is that your SEO strategy is going to differ pretty significantly if you are if you're penetrating one market like a Columbus, or if you're trying to go after the entire state of Ohio, like something Elk and Elk has done really well. So I'm going to go into a few examples to better explain different SEO strategies based off of single versus multi-location. If you have a single location personal injury law firm, I like to use the ladder analogy. At the very top of the ladder is the descriptor term of your business. And what that is personal injury law. That describes what your business does. All of the steps leading up to the ladder are your different practice areas, with the most profitable and important practice area at the very top. So with many PI firms, it's auto accident, truck, motorcycle, medical malpractice, so on and so forth. In the instance of a single location PI firm, the homepage should be optimized for the descriptor term. So Fort Lauderdale personal injury lawyer, Kalamazoo, Michigan personal injury lawyer. You should be going after that term on your homepage. Your homepage is your most powerful page in most instances on your site, and personal injury law is gets the most search volume. So that's where you want to go after on the homepage. And then you need to build out practice area specific pages. So you should have a page for auto, you should have a page for truck, and you should have a page for motorcycle, and so on and so forth. What our agency does is we interview the attorneys on each practice area and write the content based off of those interviews. The reason that we do that is because Google values expert content. So you can't get much more of an expert than speaking directly to the attorneys. What you don't want to do is create all of these pages that have fluff content and they're not a real resource for prospective clients. The other thing is on these practice area pages, auto accident, truck. You want to go after Fort Lauderdale car accident lawyer, Fort Lauderdale truck accident lawyer. So when it's only one location and you're picking your primary market, it's very clear what you're going to target on the homepage and on the practice area pages. Now, if you have multiple locations, it's a different beast, and I'm going to get into that now. When you have multiple markets that your PI firm is in, the structure from an SEO standpoint is going to be different. So your homepage should really not be optimized for any city, but it's a great opportunity to optimize it for the state-specific keywords. So you could go Ohio personal injury lawyer. The practice area pages, the same thing. They should not be optimized for a specific location when you have multiple markets, and I'll get into that in a second. They could be optimized for Ohio car accident lawyer, Ohio truck accident lawyer. Sometimes if you only have 2 locations, you can go after, Columbus and Cleveland personal or car accident lawyer. But for the most part, if it's more than 2 locations, I recommend just going after the state. And then where you really want to start optimizing locally is when you get to, you would create location-specific pages for Columbus, Cleveland, and Akron, and that's where you would go after Columbus personal injury lawyer, Cleveland personal injury lawyer, Akron personal injury lawyer. And then you want to build out pages for car accident attorney Columbus, truck accident attorney Columbus. And you want to do that for all of the different locations. So when you're getting to multiple locations, the point I'm trying to make is it gets much more complex. You have to worry about unique content. How do you make the content different from Columbus car accident versus Cleveland? Well, you pull in reviews from Columbus, you interview your Columbus attorneys and feature them. You talk about the unique challenges of the freeway system in Columbus, so on and so forth. So there's different ways to do that, but it just shows you that when you are going after multiple locations, it does get more challenging from a structural perspective. And this could lead to 100+ pages on a website pretty easily, but if executed well, you can penetrate multiple different markets. So I'm on the Elk and Elk website, and I just want to give you a visual example of a multi-location SEO strategy in action. So you'll see this is a page for Cleveland personal injury lawyer. And if you go into car accidents, they have a specific page on their website for Cleveland car accident lawyer with a lot of information, and they're featuring their Cleveland attorneys there. Then if you go over to Columbus, they have a page for Columbus car accident lawyer. So they have built out hundreds of pages, and it's working for them because they're ranking in multiple markets, but it is an extensive SEO process. The local 3-pack get 44% of clicks on Google's first page. It's extremely prominent and extremely valuable, like I alluded to earlier. And I often get asked, how do I improve my rank in the local pack? I'm going to explain a few tactics, but it's important to note that it doesn't really require an ongoing optimization in the same way as a website. The local pack is a lot of upfront work to get a good foundation. So let me just explain. First off, reviews are very important, and you should have a program in place that gets consistent reviews. You'll see here all of the Phoenix personal injury lawyers that are populating here. 265, 773, 148. They have a lot of reviews. Just getting 3 to 5 reviews per month over the course of a couple years, it's really going to add up. So somebody at your firm, whether it's an admin, a legal assistant, they should have ownership of this because it's very important. One thing you really can't control as much is the location of where your practice is located. So if you have a Phoenix address, you're going to have a much better likelihood of ranking than if you have a Tempe address. So it's kind of silly, but having being located in the city where the search is taking place is one of the most important ranking factors. Another extremely important ranking factor is picking the right primary and secondary categories. You can see here personal injury attorney for all three that are ranking. That is the primary category. So if you just have legal services or attorney as your primary category, make sure to switch that up. And your secondary categories can be legal services, attorney, ones that are more broad. Another tactic, if you have multiple locations, your Google My Business pages should link to the respective location pages. So I was giving the example of Elk and Elk earlier, how they have a Cleveland and a Columbus. So on that Columbus Google Business profile, it should link to the Columbus location page. For Cleveland, it should link to the Cleveland location page. That's important because Google, they scan where the destination is going and make sure that there's local information that lines up. That's a mistake that we see very frequently. Having really good photos and video content is important. People are going to be checking out your firm, and putting your best foot forward with professional imagery and video is really important. So I recommend doing that. Those are really the key components that go into optimizing your Google Business profile. I've written a whole article on how to optimize your Google Business profile, and I've included a guide that you can download. I will put that in the YouTube description so you have that as a resource. But what I've referenced in this video are the primary optimization techniques that you should be focusing on. Earlier, I alluded to authority score. And the higher authority score you have, the better likelihood odds are of your site ranking well. So let me talk about ways to help you acquire more backlinks to improve your authority score. First off, your blog should have linkable content. And what I mean by that is the content is so good that other sites want to link back to it. Let's say if you focus on Uber and Lyft accidents and ride sharing, you could be talking about all about the laws pertaining to ride sharing accidents. You could have an article about scooter related accidents. And let's just say there's an accident in your market. The reporter might be doing research, or another website might be doing research, and they'll link back to you. So if you have a good blog strategy, you can acquire a lot of backlinks that way. Another thing that you could be doing is just sponsor a local sports organization. If you sponsor the hockey team for the high school and they will link back to your website, you're getting your name out in the community. And you're garnering a backlink in return. So those are just a few of the tactics to acquire more links, but it should be something that is a proactive part of your SEO strategy. Another tip is getting on directories for your law firm. And let me tell you the strategy that we advise for clients. So right here, a search for personal injury lawyer, Fort Lauderdale. The first organic result is Super Lawyers. This is a great place to get listed on, because it's going to send you a lot of referral traffic if you're listed on that. And now with AI searches, Google is actually, not Google, Perplexity and Claude and ChatGPT, they're pulling the results from a lot of these directories and lists. So getting listed on these directories can not only help you with AI search, but it will also drive valuable referral traffic. Again, if there's a directory on the second page of Google, I'm not going to waste my time advertising there. But the ones that have that first page exposure, it could be a great way to spend $500, $1,000 per month while getting more referral traffic and even increasing AI SEO. There you have it. The SEO guide for personal injury attorneys. I appreciate you sticking around. I know it was a long video, but the purpose of this was to help you better understand why other PI firms may be outranking yours, and that's what I hit on with the authority score. I also hope you now have tactics you can deploy for your own firm. I didn't get into everything. Some of the things like optimizing your title tags and technical SEO, to me, that's just the same across any industry. So what I was trying to do is just dive into the overall competitiveness in the landscape for PI attorneys and the tactics to deploy. Hopefully you found this video helpful. My name is Jason Parks of The Media Captain. If you have any questions, you can contact me at themediacaptain.com.